Still trying to get this together over here, which is a problem because it should have been together. But hello, everyone. I want to thank you all for joining us. We're going to be talking about secrets to building intimacy. We have sex therapist and owner of the Intimacy Insider here joining with us. She's going to do a live Q&A. That's what this is about. It's a live Q&A because people want to know how to keep it spicy.
Hello, everyone. I'm super excited to be here with you all with Miss Lewis. She's amazing. So when I got the call that she was wanting to do a live, I'm like, of course, let's go for it.
Yes,
Let's
I
go
am.
for it.
Look, I'm trying to reach 100 families. I'm trying to save 100 families this year, and to
Okay.
do that, we're gonna build some intimacy. How about that?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about before I jump in with the questions, because I posted some questions here the other day. I think it was yesterday. I posted some questions, I got some feedback, and so I thought that I was just gonna get feedback, like last night, but I actually got some more feedback today.
Okay.
So before I jump into these questions, these interview questions, can you tell us a little bit about Intimacy Insider and what a sex therapist is? Because you know, everybody don't know nothing about no sex therapist.
Yeah. So, as Miss Lewis just said, my name is Kim Dixon, and I am a licensed sex therapist. I started off as a mental health therapist. I'm a lead therapist at Progressive Therapy, and so I help a large range of mostly women of color deal with anything mental health related. So anything dealing from anxiety, depression, life transitions, kind of a lot of things that fall under that scope. Now, when we start to talk about my happy place, right, and when I really let my hair down, it's anything dealing with the family or intimacy or love, right? Anything that falls under that scope. And oftentimes we talk about love, but we get a little timid or shy talking about sex, especially in the Black community. And so I've seen that as a need with my clients, and it got me more and more interested about how I could tap into that to empower my community to not only just break the stigma surrounding mental health, but also sex and sexuality in the Black community. And so, as a sex therapist, I do just that. So, I work with people who are having struggles or challenges, possibly dealing with some sexual trauma or
Mhm.
dealing with using their mouth, as I say. So, communicating what it is that they like and what they don't like, breaking past barriers that they've experienced as it relates to sex or sexuality. And it all ties into that mental health component. So, Intimacy Insider was birthed out of that passion. And I wanted something specifically for the culture, right? We always get together, especially as Black women are the most educated group of people in this country. And a lot of times that can go over people's heads. So I wanted a space where any and everybody could come and learn more about their bodies, things that they like, things that they don't like, ways that they want to show up in a way that was easy to digest. So here we are.
Look at that. Look at that. Help us out. Help our families out. Help the Black folks out.
Look, that's what we're trying to do.
Uh huh.
That's why we're here.
I know, because I want people to get married and have babies, all the good stuff I talk about. So,
Right. And I
y'all,
want people to enjoy the process.
uh huh.
Hmm.
Okay, so we are gonna jump right into some of these questions, and I want to ask you this, like up front: do you think intimacy looks the same for both parties in terms of like men and women? Does it look the same across the board?
So, yes, it can, but absolutely not also, right? So, for and you said does intimacy look the same? So,
Hmm.
when we talk about just regular intimacy, the things that come up in my mind as a therapist are communication, being able to have self-awareness of what you want, what you need, feeling comfortable and empowered to show up in those spaces, to have courageous or difficult conversations. And the same thing applies when we're talking about sexual intimacy, right? I know we talked a little bit previously about, kind of what that initiation looks like. And I know I'm jumping the gun a little bit.
It's fine.
But for men and women, initiation or that process of sex looks very different. And so it's good to be aware of yourself, but also aware of how men show up in that space with sexual intimacy, and also what women may need in that space as well. So
do you think that like the initiation can make or break it? Make or break the intimacy?
yes, it can definitely put a strain on that intimacy component. I always tell people intimacy starts outside the bedroom, right? It's about the things that you do outside, and they spill over inside of your bedroom. Now, with women, if we're talking about just initiating sex, I think before we talk about, how women can initiate more or feel more comfortable initiating, I think it's really important to talk about why women generally don't initiate sex, right? And some do, but oftentimes women don't.
Oh, tell us why. In your experience, in the people that you've worked with, tell us why the women ain't initiating. Because one of the questions I asked, the men were just saying they want the woman to initiate.
Right. They tired.
Feel love. They want to know that they're wanted.
Right. And I think we discount that with men. We feel like, oh, I'm here with you, so I want you. You should know these things. Mm-hmm. But men also want to feel sought after, right? And so women, not all women, but women can have the tendency to not initiate sex for several reasons. One being gender roles, right? So, oftentimes Black women are put in this position of, I am here to be his helpmate. I am here to make sure he is fine. I am here for those things. And so their needs take a back seat, right? So it's not about what I want. So initiation is like, I'll just be ready when he's ready. Right. So having that cultural conditioning of the only person who can initiate is the man. Also feeling unsexy or disconnected from your body. Mm-hmm. So the woman that he met before he got married may be different now, right? She may have had some kids. She may have experienced some loss or some grief or some transitions, and it's put her in a position where she doesn't feel as confident or as connected to her body as she once was. So she
is sexy. She don't feel as sexy as
she. Right. It's like, I used to feel like I was hot, and now it's like it's always kids calling my name or hanging off of me. Right. And so it creates, kind of a disconnect. And also, I think what you're also speaking to is that mental load and exhaustion. Like, I'm doing all the things, like I'm being a wife, I'm being a mom, I'm being a bus driver, I'm being a therapist, all the hats that women wear. A moment of silence for the hood.
Managing the hood.
Right. And then also too, when women do initiate sex, sometimes it can look different than what their partner is used to, and it goes over the man's head. So maybe you are trying to initiate in your own little ways, but it just doesn't get across or come across well to your partner. So the mark is missed.
So I got a question here, but for the people who joined in, if you have any questions for the sex therapist while she's on, please drop it in the comments. We'll get to it. But let me ask you this, since you have slid into that, how can someone initiate intimacy in a way that feels natural and not forced? Because, it can be awkward if I don't know what I'm doing and I feel weird.
Yeah. And thank you for being here in this space with me, because you're like kind of cringy, but we gonna get you there, right? I'd start by saying shifting your perspective, right? So, instead of thinking about it in, is it okay for me to do this? Is it okay for me to express that I want to have sex or I have this desire to do this? shifting that perspective to I deserve to express my desires, right? When something is going on within your relationship and you're wanting to talk to your partner about it, or you're wanting to get some feedback, the same thing applies to the bedroom, right? So all of those approaches that we learn maybe in therapy or from, growth or talking to friends, those same things apply to sex. So shifting that perspective. Also start small, right? Not everybody is going to walk in to their husbands or their partners and like, let's get it popping, right?
Define small.
Okay. So I'm gonna make you kind of dialogue with me. When you think about initiating sex, what comes to mind from a woman's perspective?
I don't know. I'm super conservative.
Right, right. Super conservative. What does initiation look like?
Nothing's coming
Okay.
to mind.
Okay. So I'm gonna help you out just a little bit. I'm gonna guess, and you can tell me if I'm right or I'm wrong, or that resonates, or you've heard of that before. Okay, not that it's you, but you've heard of it before. So when I say start small, it can be very little. So oftentimes women of color also aren't taught how to flirt, right? And so we walk around with our partners and we accommodate them, we do things for them, but we lose that kind of edge to flirt. So those lingering kisses, right? The physical touch. So I'm touching you a little bit more, being a little bit more touchy-feely. That can be a way that may feel safer to initiate. Suggestive language. Now, you may not be as direct as some men and be like, meet me in the bedroom, right? Or meet me wherever. But you may feel comfortable saying, I've been thinking about you all day, right? Those are small ways to initiate sex. Now, disclaimer, men and women communicate very different, okay? So when you say, I've been thinking about you all day, your partner, your husband, whoever, that may go over their head. So that is why it's important to have conversations about sex, just like you do about finances, about the kids, about, the laundry or what's for dinner. We want to normalize having those conversations more frequently so that when you do those little things that may go unnoticed to initiate sex, your partner is able to pick up on those things and honor them.
So let me ask you this. Earlier, you talked about women having a lot of roles. And, I talk about the roles a whole lot in Build It Biblically. So how can a woman initiate intimacy when they're exhausted? You have work, you have the kids, you have responsibility, like you're exhausted. How can you prioritize, like intimacy when you have all of that?
Yeah. So, let's be clear. A healthy sex life in a relationship, especially in a marriage, is important, right? Regardless of the season that you're in. Now, you may go through some seasons where things change or they look different or the expectation is different, but it's still a very important part of the relationship. With that being said, it's also the thing that has the potential to get swept under the rug because you start to find less value in it, right? If I have to cook for my family, if I have to drag these children to school every day, right? If I have to try to take care of myself, keep a house clean, manage, certain things, then the physical intimacy part oftentimes gets swept under the rug because the value isn't seen. And so what I encourage my clients to do is be self-aware, right? Whatever the journey is to get there, right? But developing more self-awareness so you can say, hey, well, I haven't intimately connected with my partner in a week. What's going on? Right. Or it's been a while. And the thought may come up to say, I haven't done that, but I have a 1,000 things that I've done this week. So I hadn't missed anything. Right. Because that happens sometimes, right? You would rather get an additional 30 or 45 minutes of sleep over making it happen for your partner. Right.
Early morning.
Right.
Early morning.
Right.
But look, if y'all listening now, I ain't telling y'all to do that because it ain't what the Bible say. But I'm just telling. Okay, come on here.
The Bible don't say what.
The neglect because you got all these responsibilities.
Right. So that's what you naturally lean towards, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're aware of that, you can say, hey, if you have the self-awareness, you can say, what is it that I need?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Do I need extra hands to help me cook? Do I need help bathing the kids or getting them down?
That's why I'm trying to tell y'all need some help. You got to get help. Proverbs 31. She had help.
Right. So, you may need more help to have more time and capacity to be able to tend to your personal needs and also to the needs of your partners. So, men, and we're talking about men and women in marriage in this space. So, I want to clarify that's what I am speaking to today. But men, think about that. If you're wanting more sex, then what does your wife need more of? Right? She may need more help. She may need more affection outside of the bedroom. She may need to feel seen, right? How do I give that to you so that I make sure both of our needs are being met and that we're both enjoying building intimacy within the relationship?
That is so good that you said that because one of the questions was about how can what are some like tips to build the emotional intimacy before the physical intimacy, because generally women, if they are exhausted, if they're overwhelmed, if they have so much going on, then they're not intimately, like, I mean, they're not emotionally intimate with their partner. They're not connected because like they're disconnected. I'm overwhelmed. I have too much going on. And so the physical piece, I'm not doing that physical piece because I'm not there yet. Like, you gotta give me some time.
Right. I'm right there with you. I feel you. And I know a lot of people who are on or who will see this, share that sentiment. What I will say is this. Women are oftentimes not given the permission to honor what it is that they need, right? Especially as it relates to sex, right?
Mhm.
Because for women, sex is a lot more mental and emotional. Like, it looks different. It's emotional for both parties, but it looks very different for women,
How's it
right?
look?
So let's bring into perspective foreplay. Okay. I hate the term foreplay. Okay. Because when we say foreplay, people start to think that, okay, it's this thing that we do really quick or we rush so that we can get to the good part.
Mm-hmm. That ain't
That's
what it is.
no.
Tell us what it is.
So I like to think of it all as the sexual experience. Okay.
Okay.
And then, Miss Lewis, you can look at your husband on this live and just be like this, and he like, you ready? You ready to go?
He ready?
Right. He already ready. You gonna end the live. We taking an intermission, a break. Let's go. Right. Men operate like that.
Mm-hmm.
Women, we don't work so much like that. We need to be warmed up, almost like a car. When it's cold outside, don't go jumping it, ladies. My husband used to get on me about this all the time. Don't go jump in that car and just drive off. Okay. You're gonna mess something up. Give it some time to warm up. That is what we mean by the sexual experience. So it may start in the morning or the beginning of the week, helping her out, right? I'm going to take something off your plate. So hopefully I can, get something on my plate, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell you how beautiful you are or encourage you or how amazing you're doing, right? I'm going to pour into you so that when it gets to that time, you've been warming her up all week or all day, right? And then when you get to, that, act more active part of the sexual experience, you don't want to rush, right? And sometimes, it's nothing wrong with a little quickie, but we want to take your time and enjoy each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, to answer that question directly, I think that it's important for men and women to start to pour into their partner in intentional ways outside of the bedroom and see that direct impact in the bedroom.
Mm-hmm. That's good. So let me ask you this: what's the best way to communicate? Like, because I know that you spoke earlier about, like women just not being able to communicate just
Right.
their needs. What is the best way to communicate their needs without making their spouse feel pressure, or vice versa? Like how is it? How can the man, communicate his needs without making his wife feel pressure?
Right. Or what comes up for a lot of men is making their wives not want to do that thing anymore. Right. Because oftentimes men would rather just keep their mouth closed and go with the flow than run the risk of you taking it away.
And they
Right.
don't get none.
And they're not going for that.
Once
Right.
again, that is not right, y'all. Okay, I'm listening.
Right. Don't be withholding. But I'm gonna let Pastor Lewis talk to you about that. I'm gonna stay in my lane. I'll say this: the biggest piece is this stigma around sex, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about married folks, people who have kids, people who have physical manifestations of what they've been doing in their bedroom, right? But yet we still can't talk about it. We're talking about arguably one of the most vulnerable things that you can do with the person, but we scared to talk about it. It's a problem. It's a huge, it's a huge problem. So what I would recommend is focus on normalizing talking about sex and what is what you like, what you dislike, what are hard no's, all of that. Just normalize it. So a tool or something that I'll say to help start that conversation is take it outside of the bedroom. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have something to say and you're working on normalizing it and making communicating about sex comfortable with your partner, don't do it mid stride or mid ride. Let's wait until we are, that tickled you, huh? Until we are outside of the bedroom, right? So it can be at the kitchen table, it can be on a ride for coffee, it can be while you're out on date night, right? So taking it outside of the bedroom, also being direct but sensitive, right? Something that can be helpful and almost like having a ritual is, say, for example, you and your partner, um, let's say it like this: say you go on a trip or you do a retreat or you have lunch with, or you go to some type of event with your girlfriends, right? You all go to the event, you all have a good time, you all go on vacation, you all have a good time, and just say it's multiple people. Okay. When you get back, generally and oftentimes, you're going to debrief, right? This went well, this didn't go well. Girl, did you catch that? I decided not to say anything, but that rubbed me the wrong way, right? So it's like this debrief after something. Even yourself, me and you, Audrika, when we've presented, after presentations, we want to talk about what we did right, what we didn't do right, and how we could do better.
Yeah.
Right. The same thing can be applied to sex. If I already know that after we have sex, at some point the next day or when we have time, we're going to debrief about it. What worked? What didn't work? What could you have used more of? What could you have used less of or not at all? Right. And that opens the door to communication, and it makes it almost routine instead of something that you are afraid of or shy away from. But remember, when you're talking about things, instead of talking about it from the perspective of the unit, so you and your partner, talk about it from your perspective. So practicing using I statements.
I see.
It felt good when you did this, or I really like this, or I'm not sure if you enjoyed it, but when this happened, it didn't feel so great, or it made me feel uncomfortable. That way we keep the conversation going.
What if that causes discomfort? I guess is the right word. Like if y'all are debriefing or you are attempting to start that debrief and you say, hey, look, I like when you did that, but this right here, I don't know if I want you to do that again. What if that causes, like some kind of issue or barrier right there, what would you recommend in terms of how to communicate this a little bit differently in the future, or communicate something differently in the future versus, like causing drama? I don't want to cause no drama, but I do think you need to know.
Right. So, I always say a soft startup, right? Instead of going in with what didn't work, go in with what you enjoyed, right? I appreciate that all last week you tried to take little things off my plate. I want you to notice that I saw you, stop doing this and prioritizing me and the kids. And that really made me want you. Right. And I really enjoyed the way that you took your time and did X, Y, and Z. Right. And I'm a little bit nervous about talking to you about certain things, but I want us to be open and having these conversations, because just as much as I enjoyed it, I want to make sure that you're getting enjoyment as well. I don't know how to do that. It makes me uncomfortable, but I want to have these types of conversations. So making it about you, encouraging your partner, letting them know what they did well, and then easing into, something that was uncomfortable. So, well, I'm gonna give this example. I enjoy this position of being on top, right? But I notice that when I'm on top, I start to feel uncomfortable. My knees may hurt, and I start to think I'm hurting you, or whatever the case may be, right? Did you have that same experience? Right. So just opening the door for communication with a soft start.
That's good. Look at that. Did y'all hear? Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear those words? She's telling you exactly what to say.
Yeah, and of course, from your perspective, and what works for your partner, and also if you have extreme difficulty, right, communicating with your partner about sex, and this is in the absence of, like large sexual trauma, but if you have just regular difficulty talking to your partner about sex, then you may have a trust issue that stems from something outside of the bedroom that needs to be addressed before we get into the bedroom. Because, as a sex therapist, people always think that it's just the fun stuff. Teach me a trick, teach me, how
Mm-hmm.
to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
We can do that. Okay. um, but the therapist part of that is, how can I assist you become more self-aware and heal from things outside of the bedroom or outside of the current bedroom that you're in, right? In a way that's going to directly impact you feeling seen, heard, and fulfilled in your sexual life.
If y'all need some assistance, please don't hesitate to reach out to her. But look, let me ask you this last question, and it's similar to some of the things that we talked about now. But like I said, I had a lot of feedback from men saying how, just the initiation part makes them feel loved and makes them feel wanted, and
Right.
like they like it when we take control. So how can someone, or how can men encourage their wives or their partners to initiate more often instead of it always being them?
Okay. So I said this earlier and I say this all the time: use your mouth, right?
What does that mean? There we go. What does that mean?
In this context, in this context, not allowing the fear of communicating with something with your partner to stop you from doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And instead of, you may not want to run the risk of being like, you know, you never initiate, right? Don't make it about the partner. Let's focus on the issue. The
Mm-hmm.
issue is you're wanting your partner to initiate sex more. Your
Yes.
partner is not the problem, it's the act. You're wanting something different. So if you go in using I statements, so I really like when you do X, Y, and Z, right? And don't lean into initiate sex, be as specific as possible. Like, I really like it when I'm playing the game. I hate that game, y'all. I really, I really like it when I'm playing the game and you come in and you sit on my lap. Or I really like it when I'm not expecting it, and you come in and you kiss me, or you kiss me longer.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or I really like it when you initiate, can we do something new, or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Let your partner know what it is that you like and what it is that you enjoy. And ask the question of, how can I get more of that? Okay. Because instead of, I want more of that, how can I get more of it, allows your partner the space to tell you what they need to give it to you.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like you are encouraging the men to start small. Have the women to start small. When
Right.
you say something along the lines of, "Oh, I like it when you do this. I like it when you kiss me longer. I like it when you hold my hand. I like it when
Yeah.
you hug me in the morning time." So
Right.
essentially, it is start small.
Right. So I'd say start small. And I want to add this as well, because it's not just on one party. Okay. If I tell you what I like as a man, and I am then inquisitive about what you like, women oftentimes don't get that. We oftentimes don't get, we know what y'all like, or oftentimes, because we've been conditioned that way. But
Uh-huh.
you saying, I like when you do this, how can I get more of it? Or what is it that you like? When men ask questions, with them being the head, that gives authority for women to feel more comfortable doing that.
Did y'all hear that?
I brought it on back over to
Did
your
you hear
side.
that? That Bible. Okay.
I know a little bit. I ain't no pastor, but I was born and raised in the church. We know a little bit. But yeah, men have the authority to completely change the scene, and women do as well. So if we are empowered to really operate in our feminine energy, and men to operate in their masculine energy, from the perspective of, this should be a fulfilling experience for both parties, then we can shift the conversations and create the space for conversations for fulfilling intimacy in our marriages and our relationships.
This was so good. This was so good. Let me see if you have any comments. Okay, let's see. Somebody says, say it again for the folks in the back. She said what she said. That's good.
That is good.
Somebody said, great information. We also have a don't wait until you're frustrated to bring it up. That's probably along the lines of the sex not being what they wanted to be.
Right. But you know what? A lot of times that's a big ask, because sometimes it's not in our awareness until we're frustrated. Okay. So if you are a party or a person in a relationship who is frustrated, you've already gotten to that point, you can't go back. Create some space for yourself first. And I kind of think about it like, halt. Am I hungry? Am I tired? Am I lonely? Is there something I need? Create some space to give that to yourself before you go and try to have a conversation with your partner, because
Mhm.
sometimes you in too deep, you're already frustrated.
You are already frustrated. Okay, everyone, I want to thank you all for joining in on our live. Don't forget to check out my website at adricalewis.com. We have a Into Me See bundle where you get all of the fun stuff. You get all the fun stuff. It's all in one space. And so it's on that front page. If you go to www.adricalewis.com, go all the way down and you'll see the Into Me See bundle. And so I hope it's great for you. I hope you all enjoyed this. I hope it added some value. And so if you have any additional questions, don't hesitate to reach out. But Miss Kim, where can the people contact you? Where can they look for you?
Yes. So I can be followed on social media at fly_sophisticate. Also, I can be found at the Intimacy Insider on Instagram as well, for questions about consultations or sex therapy. You can contact Progressive Therapy. You can put that in Google and we'll come up. So I hope to hear from you all soon. As Miss Lewis said, she has put together an amazing package for you all. So check that out, because in that space, I will be offering some sex tips and some cool tricks and
Mm-hmm.
that you can do as well. Adrika is excited about them as well. She just won't let herself, be excited on camera.
All right. Bye for now.
Bye.